No. I want to die after a long, natural, enjoyable, fully experienced life. I don't want to die in a frickin' mosh pit. That's ridiculous.
Hello and welcome to Here in LA, Hancock Park edition. Today we talk with Ryh-Ming. Ryh-Ming is a music lover, a PR expert, and one of the reasons you probably have a Guitar Hero guitar or two in your closet. She worked with Activision for many, many years, working with artists to help roll out and maintain one of the biggest video games of all time. She's also a USC graduate and a native Angelino. We'll talk about how her upbringing shaped her into this wildly successful person and a few things about Hancock Park. So please welcome Ryh-Ming. I am here in Hancock Park. No, but we are here with, is it Did you say Ree?
No, it's Ryh-Ming.
Ryh-Ming.
Yeah.
So you use both words.
Well, that's my name.
We had a guy on here, Alexis Olivier, Ray, and I just thought that the Olivier was the middle name.
Yeah, no. Well, Chinese, I mean, it's Ryh-Ming is my first name, right? I do have a Western middle name that I did go by for about 25 years.
And what was that?
I can't say.
Oh.
I don't want to give people my full name.
Okay.
I did it like all through high school because people were afraid of the hyphen. I grew up here in Hancock Park.
Afraid.
Like, first day of school was really traumatizing for me all the time.
For you?
Yeah, of course. Because they would try, not really try, and then butcher the first name.
So,
Ryh-Ming.
Ryh-Ming. Okay. Have we met before?
I don't know that we've met in person.
I don't think so either.
I know it's weird, right?
Yeah.
But I know you you went to school with Chris Hepburn?
I was roommates with Chris Hepburn.
Okay, so Chris basically was one of our creative services guys at Activision. And I went to UCSB for a couple years.
When we were there?
I'm younger than you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I stayed an extra bonus year just to hang out in IV.
That's exactly why I left UC Santa Barbara. Because people were not into school. And being a Chinese kid, first generation, I'm like, I have to get through school. I have to make something of my life. And I've always, I started my internships in high school, So it was
we shouldn't laugh. You've had a great career.
Sure. It's not really what I wanted to do.
Okay, but still, how many people have been VP of anything?
Okay. All
right?
Sure. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do, and that's why I went to USC. I knew I wanted to be in entertainment, and I knew I wanted to do PR because I knew I wanted to be behind the scenes. I don't like being in front, which is also why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to challenge myself.
And push your boundaries a little.
Yes, because I'm very uncomfortable talking about myself.
A lot of people are, and I don't understand it.
Well,
but I'll tell you, relax, because if afterwards you're driving home and you're like, God, I wish I hadn't talked about that thing, just email me and we'll cut it out.
I know. Editing is great. I love editing. As long as it's not live, right? It's a good thing. And I honestly, I media train people to be on camera, to do every interview under the sun, tough interviews, Q&A. We always write out all the answers for everyone. And, I just, I'm not interested in really promoting myself most of the time. But having gone through a crazy transition year of getting cancer and sort of, heading into the next decade of my life, hopefully in a year or two, that, I started this decade kind of already being zero fucks given, right? But
which is a great place to be.
It is, but when you get cancer, you just go, oh, no one else runs your life and cares about your life as much as you should, right? And, the companies will go on, they'll hire someone else, they'll do something else, but it's the dedication, the life, the blood, sweat, and tears that I gave to, the first agency I was at, but also Activision for 12 years, it was ultimately, right, they don't care. They don't care whether I live or die.
And not just them.
Not just them,
most
just
big
any
corporations.
companies. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But any companies, really,
Yeah.
right? Because we as humans are replaceable. Everyone's replaceable.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to sort of live your life the way that you sort of want. It's like a legacy thing, also, right? Everyone's like, "Well, what's your legacy, Ryh-Ming?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm working on it still. I don't want to let go yet. I'm not done.
Also, legacies, you just never know what people are going to think. They might, for example, John Wayne kind of has a bad legacy now, because of one Playboy interview. I mean, he might have been a bad guy all along, but this guy was like a hero. They named an airport after him.
Well, in Orange County, honey. Okay. I tend not to go behind the orange curtain because of my skin color. Growing up here in LA, like Orange County was just not somewhere that I enjoyed being.
Ironic, because UC Irvine.
Well, that's now. And that's what the
So when you were
right?
when you were choosing colleges, and we'll get to Activision and your cancer. Oh my God, I didn't know. We'll get to all those things in a second. But let's talk about when you were growing up in LA, because you're a native Angelino, right?
Yes. So I did. I grew up in Hancock Park, and I went to the private schools. I went to a private all-girls school for 6 years, which I am now on the alumni leadership board of, because when Trump was elected, I was like, oh my God, women are going to be under attack, right? We elected someone who basically said, grab women by the pee, and it was okay. And then he got elected, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so afraid for the young women and their futures, right? So I did whatever I could at that point to just be like, how am I going to help young women to just like be self-assured that we are equals on this planet, right? It was so mind-boggling. But anyway, so yeah, I grew up here in LA, and I think it's definitely shaped who I am. Most of my family have deserted me and gone to. We're all on the West Coast, but I'm the only one in my immediate family who's still here.
Which I can understand.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's too much for them. LA is too much for them now.
Where did they move off to?
San Francisco, outside of the city. Yeah. So South San Francisco and Seattle. And then my mom has a nice winter place in Boulder City.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What did your parents do when you were young? Because when I hear Hancock Park, I think you must have been loaded.
No.
But there are lots of parts of Hancock Park.
Well, in the 70s, it wasn't like, right. So, and here's a fun thing, because right now I live on the west side, but I'm desperately trying to find a house back in the Hancock Park area, because that is where I feel like home, right? And I love being close to the beach, but there's something about Hancock Park that it's just the homey feeling that I miss. And I just don't have that on the west side. And trying to get back in, if I try to get back into the house that we grew up in, we probably bought it for like $100,000, right? And now I think it's like 4.5, 5 million, probably. Something like crazy like that, right?
Did they do a lot of stuff to it?
Well, they probably did, yeah, because that was part of the reason why, my mom sold it after my dad died in the house, and it was, probably really traumatizing for her. She had 3, kids to kind of take care of. Granted, I was 18, but,
What street are we talking?
we were on Irving, in between 2nd and 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really close to Koreatown.
Really close to Koreatown, but we were actually just 3 blocks up from the mayoral home.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were on that street.
I took a picture of that the other day.
Yeah. Bradley was there when we were there.
But the reason that I took a picture of it is no cars in front of it. Nobody seems to care. There's no fence.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice that LA is relatively chill as far as that goes. Yeah. During Black Lives Matter, there was protests outside of his house.
Right outside his house.
But nothing bad happened to him.
No.
The cops may have gone overboard against the protesters. But don't you think that that's interesting? And I think in any other big city, Hancock Park would either be a gated community or the mayor would live on the other side of Wilshire where there are gates.
Sure.
But here it's different.
You mean like Reardon, who didn't want to move into that house?
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, Reardon didn't live there.
Well, he probably already had a nice house.
He did. I think it was up in Bel Air. I think, if I remember correctly.
Why move? Who likes to move?
Why be amongst your constituents?
Ms. PR lady,
Yeah.
who's going to just run circles around me. You grew up in this fancy part of town,
Yes.
which you claim wasn't as fancy then as it is
wasn't.
now. But there must have been some fancy. Well, okay, the school that you went to,
Yes.
clearly
Yeah.
fancy.
Well, not fancy. You just had to be really smart and, yes, have some money. But there was financial aid. But also, again, Chinese immigrant family, education is number one, right? So that's the only thing. You pool your resources and send your kids to the best school.
Because I was trying to figure out Poon, your last name Poon. And Google told me Korean, Chinese.
Yeah, it's Chinese.
But then, so I went to your Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And I clicked your mom's name.
Uh-huh.
Hers says Taiwanese.
Yeah, she's from Taiwan.
So, but do you identify?
Well, she's actually not even from Taiwan. No, they're all so listen,
I'm listening.
I'm a horrible Chinese child, right? Like it was like the Mao Zedong era, right? Where it was like they fled, both my parents' families, quote unquote, fled, right? So she was born, and this is where I'm a horrible child. She's literally told me the city that she's been born in 800 times, and I cannot. For some reason, I have this weird mental block of the name of the city.
In
And
China.
In China.
Okay.
So she was born in the southern region in China, and my dad was born in Shanghai. So their family went to Hong Kong. My mom's family went to Taiwan. And all I know is, they kind of fled. And when they did, obviously, I think they had like photo albums and whatever it was. There was some heavy stuff in the luggage that people then thought was like bars of gold or something like crazy. And so they stole our stuff.
No.
So we don't really have like family heirlooms or anything. It's just really sad for me, who also, again, horrible Chinese child who hasn't studied all the history of. Obviously, we learned in school, and I'm so far removed from high school that it's like. But again, we can just talk about history books also. And
So she put this on her Facebook because that's where she escaped to. So she's got love for.
yes, so she
Taiwan.
went to the number one. So my mom was in the, again, elite, like the top high school, and it was all girls, and they were the number one because that's how it was kind of like ranked in Taiwan. But it wasn't like a monetary thing. It was definitely just about how smart you were, right? And so it's just so funny because everyone's like, oh my God, Ryh-Ming, you have so many friends. And it's like, yeah, because I've built up, I enjoy humans. Even though I'm an extroverted introvert, because of my career choice, I'm out there a lot, right? And so I've met a lot of cool people. But my mom, like, maybe it's not the quantity of friends, but it's definitely the quality. I mean, she's still, all of their friends who they all went to this high school together. I mean, it's like 60 years later almost, and they're all still doing reunions, and they're all besties, and they're like, hey, you want to come stay at my house? Hey, let's go do a retreat. Hey.
When did they move out here?
So my parents met at Clemson University in the South.
Of course.
So, I mean, this is where it's weird, right? And honestly, like, we just...
When I think of Clemson, I think of Asian people.
Yeah, no, right? And so they both had fantastic host families,
What made them choose LA?
So, because they already had one couple friends, they were my quote-unquote aunt and uncle, right?
Yeah.
Because in Asian culture, everyone's an aunt and an uncle. But they were already here and had kind of started a business. I don't know which one because they have many businesses, but the one that my first job when I was like, probably shouldn't say this, but I was 12 and I had like a quote-unquote summer job, was a textile company.
Really?
Clothing company.
In downtown?
In downtown. And so I think that's, so they were already here, and they were basically my father's best friends from Hong Kong. And so...
So you were working your booty off at 12?
Hello, Chinese, yes.
Okay, can we continue with the stereotypes?
Yeah.
Did you play piano or
Of course.
violin?
Piano. I took ballet. I wanted to be a ballerina, but my mom didn't want me to destroy my body. So
Good
took
for
me
her.
Well, I was very upset because I had great form. I'm a weakling, so I probably would never have survived anyways. But before, we tested to go on Toshu, she was like, no. And I was like, what? But I want to be the swan in Swan Lake. So that didn't happen. I was just a duckling.
At Marlboro.
Yes.
How many Asians, or what percentage would you say?
Very small.
Was that good or bad for you?
It wasn't. I mean, looking back on it, because now, again, being on the alumni board, right, we do talk about, the lack of diversity all throughout school. And it wasn't easy, but it wasn't even that. It was also economic, right? Because we were middle class. We were upper middle class, however you want to classify it, but still middle class.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of people that we went to school with were like heiresses to, and it's like celebrity kids, heiresses, and just stuff like that where you're just like, well, we can't afford. So like I never went on, exchange programs or the international trips. You
didn't get a car for your 16th birthday?
Oh, I did not get a car for my 16th birthday. I was lucky to be driving our family Volvo around.
Okay. Did the boys hit on you, though?
Of course. Well, yes.
You're like, look at me.
So
Duh.
No. But it's and this is the funny thing, and this is the funny story that I tell is honestly, I had a different boyfriend every year in school, but that's because I didn't put out. I didn't do anything with anyone, and I didn't realize. I was like, why are they moving on? Like, why don't you want to just have phone calls and hold hands with me? I'm not kidding. I was like, what's happening?
Where did this come from? Are you religious? Did your parents teach you about this?
So my dad was a doctor.
Okay.
And
What kind of doctor?
Well, so this is the interesting thing. Before we were born, he was doing, we could talk forever.
Yeah.
So he was doing research, I think at USC, on male contraception.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So how far has that come?
So he's a bad doctor.
Well, no, because men like to whine about everything, right? So
we wouldn't take a pill if it was given to us?
Not if there's side effects, right? But we
like
have
what?
to take pills because even though there's side effects, right?
What are the side effects for the female
I don't know.
pill?
So female, oh my God, there's a ton.
Like what?
There's like mood stuff, things hurt, body parts hurt.
She's grabbing her boobs. For those of you who aren't here in my courtyard.
I'm gesturing.
So if it would make us angry, let's say.
Or you guys had breast tenderness. I think so. I have to read up on it, but the last time I read up on this, it was like there were side effects similar to what women had.
Okay.
But we take it.
Yes,
we always have.
Thank God.
So, anyways, again.
Well, God bless your paw.
Right. But he quit that because he wanted to be home for us. Because my mom worked for the city, and so she worked a 9 to 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he became a professor at LA City College.
Right down the block here.
Right down the street.
One subway stop away. Okay. So your pa said, look, honey, I'm trying to make less babies in this world. Don't make love to the first 15-year-old that you kiss.
Oh, no. As a doctor, he made us germaphobes. And we're still germaphobes to this day, for sure.
Oh.
Which is why I've done so, knock on wood.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten COVID.
Me neither.
I don't have a problem wearing masks. Don't have a problem washing my hands all the time. I mean, heaven forbid. We've never touched doorknobs. So I don't touch, and that's the funny thing is I just recently started dating a Navy SEAL, and of course he's seen many, many crazy things in this world, right? So he signed up after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
To serve our country. And
today is 9/11, by the way.
It is, which is crazy. So
so hold on now. Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Okay.
How old is this Navy SEAL?
I'm not going to say.
Is he in his 40s?
He is, yes, now.
Then that means he's got a great bod. Is this the best bod that you've been with? Is my question. Very important question.
Listen.
Because I'll tell you, if I'm announcing that I'm a Navy SEAL,
sure,
my body better be friggin' great.
He is very athletic, yes. But I've dated athletes and I've dated rock stars, so everyone's been fit, mostly.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, good. Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to these 15-year-old boys that you were not giving anything to.
Yes, germaphobe.
It's because of germs.
Yeah, germs. I was like, you are not sticking your tongue in my mouth.
Oh,
ew.
Not even that?
Oh, ew. Yeah, no. We don't share drinks. We don't
Huh.
Yeah, it's
I've never. I was a teenage boy once.
Uh-huh.
And once I tried to kiss a girl, and her lips were locked in. She wasn't pushing me away, but her lips were locked in, and her tongue kind of poked out a tiny bit. I don't know if it wanted it or if it didn't, but I was like, what is wrong with me? She could have been a germaphobe is what you're telling me.
Probably.
Huh.
So, I mean, junior year, I think I might have let a tongue slip. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this.
Is this something that you could have asked your parents about?
No.
You have an older...
I have an older sister.
Could you have asked her?
No.
The family just does not talk about this subject.
My younger sister and I do now. And my mom does. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all women left in the family now. There's
But
no
I'm saying
men
when
left.
you were a teen.
Oh, yeah, no.
You felt like...
Well, we had sex ed in schools. We went to nice private schools.
I'm
that
saying
gave us
about your
help
parents and
oh,
your family.
no.
Really? Is that a Chinese thing too?
Well, I think it's it's the times that we grew up in. It was sort of like after the sexual revolution, right? And it was like,
Yeah.
But yeah, Chinese parents, no. I mean, no, they don't talk about that. No way.
Okay. I don't know. I'm furthest removed from a Chinese family
Sure.
you can get.
It's about studying and getting good grades, and why the hell aren't you getting good grades? And you're grounded for coming home late. You know, I mean, I think I did give my parents a lot of. I was the most outgoing, and I think unfortunately I probably gave them some hard nights of like. I mean, I always got home probably before midnight, but I'm sure they were worried that I was doing something crazy, and I was literally like, and I don't drink because. I found out my junior year I was allergic.
Yep. Also, a
Well,
tendency
we
of-
can't digest the enzymes properly. However, I go into anaphylaxis, right? So I try to drink alcohol, and then my throat starts closing. I did find that out junior year. We went to a house party instead of a dance, and it was not fun.
So why on earth did you go to UC Santa Barbara? You know, the beer
well,
comes out of the water faucets there.
I know. Well, that's also why I left, right? Because of all the weed smoking, too, because I've never smoked weed in my life. I've never done
Challenge
drugs.
accepted.
I know.
Look
Listen,
under your chair.
No, I know. Listen, I've never done drugs either, and it's like
What?
Yes, and I was a raver in the early 90s.
You never did ecstasy?
Never did. Always had a pill on me just in case.
An emergency hit.
I did. I had an emergency because all my friends were DJs and, you know, the actual event producers. And I just,
Do you still have this emergency hit?
I actually threw it out
Ugh.
when I moved at some point into this house. So,
Okay, hold on. Let's back
Yeah.
up just a little bit.
yeah.
When did you get over your germophobia and you're like, sir, today's your lucky day? Was this college?
Yeah.
Santa Barbara or
Yeah,
USC?
Santa Barbara.
You entered as a freshman at UC Santa Barbara.
Yes.
What dorm were you in?
Anna Kappa.
That's
Beach
the one.
View.
Yeah.
It was Beach View, furthest away from
You're-
Isla Vista.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
In fact, when I was first introduced to Santa Barbara, that dorm was the dorm that had this lawn that all the girls were just sunbathing
Yes.
in their bikinis
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Were you one of those ladies at
I
some
was.
point?
Yeah.
Right on.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so you're having a good time at Santa Barbara,
Sure.
and you meet a man.
There's lots of boys that I was interested in, but this is again the ridiculous thing, right? Like inexperienced Ryh-Ming goes, I want my first boyfriend, like real boyfriend. Okay, you think any of these 18-year-old freshmen were like, oh yeah, I totally want a girlfriend right now? No, God no. So I'd like make out with boys and be like, want to be my boyfriend? No, 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 no.
Especially that school.
Well, right, but I didn't. So
I mean, the
you-
joke there was like a date. Where would we even go
I
on
know,
a date?
Listen, but that's the thing. It's like, honestly, and you asked why I went to Santa Barbara because it was, you know, my dad had been sick since I was 12. And I wanted to, quote unquote, move away from home just to experience something.
Yep.
Right. And it was gorgeous there, you know, and it was close enough, right? It was an hour and a half driving fast
No big deal.
to come home, you know, if something happened with my father.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, freshman year, I had fun, made out with some boys,
Yes.
and desperately wanted someone to be my boyfriend. It was like, I mean, I made out with some cute boys, but it was like, hello, no, you don't want girlfriend? No, okay. I mean, it's like, but this is what I'm saying. It's like, just being super inexperienced and delusional, right?
Is
It's the
this
same thing
something
as-
that the Daily Nexus, the college paper, should have on the first edition? A, you're not going to get a boyfriend your freshman year.
They probably should.
You should probably break up with your high school boyfriend too.
We didn't have any of those. I don't think. I mean, none that I knew of. Not one single one that I knew of had like a high school sweetheart that they were communicating with. No. But it was, I mean, it was gorgeous when we were there. And, you know, I know on your 1-year anniversary show, you were talking about Halloween, and the RAs scared the living daylights out of us, right? Because this was still early 90s.
Okay.
And it was when it was the peak of like the insanity.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't get raped. Don't lose your partner in crime. Like, watch out for them. Because if you separate and they get drunk and get raped, like, it was gnarly. It was gnarly. So we literally, the first Halloween, we like all the freshman girls were like, we locked arms from our dorm, and we're walking down DP trying not to get separated, trying not to get accosted, trying not to, and it's like, to be honest, this is also why I don't like Halloween.
It's not for everybody, that street, because back then
But
there's like 50,000 people on the
Yes, it
streets.
was insane.
Everybody's in crazy costumes. In fact, I think there were some pornos made during your era.
Oh, great.
College F Fest, I believe, was
really?
part of your
Great.
era, where actual movie crews would come in.
Are you kidding?
No.
I never saw them.
I didn't either.
When I say, like, I don't like Halloween, I still don't like Halloween now. Being a goth girl, like, that's, like, blasphemous to say. But I'm like, I like to stay home a lot of the times on Halloween because men are dressed up in a mask, whatever it is, and they hide behind it, and you get accosted. And I've been accosted one too many times that it's just not fun for me. And like you look at them, you're like, I don't know who you are, right? And it's like you can't identify them. And so Halloween has never been sort of my favorite thing to go out during. Like if someone has a house party, love it. Get dressed up, have fun, but not being out there, and that's why I've never done the West Hollywood, Halloween thing. No, I just never. And honestly, again, being a germaphobe, I don't really love being in like a crowd of like 100 to 500,000 humans, right? Especially now post-pandemic or during the pandemic, it was like, I still wear my mask to Disneyland. I have an annual pass, and I'm outdoors, and still like there's too many humans coming at me. I can't handle it.
Let's shift gears to Activision.
Sure.
You just told me before we turned the mics on that you worked for Guitar Hero.
I was basically the lead PR on globally for Guitar Hero, and the funny thing is I had almost left Activision before my boss literally said, hey, listen, we bought something called Guitar Hero. You'll get to work with your musician friends. Will you stay? Because at that point, I had done all the Tony Hawk games. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and that's how you know Chris. Because Chris had worked on the very first Tony Hawk.
Yeah, but he was at Activision, right?
Yeah.
So, and he was creative services for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I oversaw all the PR for all the Tony Hawk games for 6.5 years. So I launched, we attempted to launch like a secondary brand for all the action sports titles. So I got to work, that's what I'm saying, I worked with so many athletes. But then I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't get any more cover stories. Like, and it would just, so I got moved over to all the Marvel movie games because I like working with talent and I do it well.
So like Marvel versus Capcom?
No. That's so with Spider-Man.
Okay.
Fantastic Four, X-Men. So I think I've
Marvel before it was cool to be Marvel.
It was, and to be honest, it was when journalists were giving us hell for making movie games. They hated the movie games.
They did?
Yeah, they absolutely hated them because they just thought they were never good games. And it's really hard, right? Because to make a game, right, your coding and all that stuff has to be done so early before the movie's done. And so you're sort of, it's really hard to make side by side like good games but now it's better, right? Because the lead time for films is also the same thing, the amount of CG and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I give so much love and props to Guitar Hero for this. I'm 55.
Yeah.
I grew up with classic rock.
yeah.
Guitar Hero brought back classic rock to a
did.
generation that would never have seen it because there's no MTV now. Unless they love their uncle or unless they love their dad,
Yeah.
good luck,
Yeah.
and want to hear their dad's music,
Sure.
they're not going to be listening to Heart's Barracuda.
Yeah, and that's the first song on Guitar Hero. Shoot, which one? I don't know. I have all of them in my garage.
But, or they're not going to listen to Aerosmith, who got their own disc. You know what I'm saying?
Van
You
Halen.
guys brought back all this great music and delivered it to primarily, I would assume, kids.
Well, it was a huge demographic, so it wasn't just primary, right? So it was. I mean, it was the biggest game on the planet for a minute.
Yeah.
For a few minutes. So yeah, it was super fun, but also, for me, it was really hard being an environmentalist to deal with all the plastic guitars that we were putting out there.
Yeah.
And that's,
Well, how else are we supposed to do it? And those guitars were great.
we didn't. So this is where I had to. This was one of the reasons why I left Activision, right? It's, they're a business, right? So they're here to make money and but give a great product, to make that money. However, for me, I just didn't think we needed sort of like new guitars every year or collectible this, collectible that, and it was just so much plastic being generated that, on top of that, when I left, I don't know that they had actually figured out a way to properly recycle all the components. And you can't just send it to China and be like, here, deal with it.
Right.
So that was...
Again, this is why I love talking to people. I would never have guessed that would have been even one of 10 reasons why you would leave that great job.
Yeah, well, the other reason was, why the lawsuit is happening. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
can we talk about the nice parts about Guitar Hero, though?
Sure.
Because it's a huge hit.
Yeah.
But
I'm
some
still friends with Slash to this day because of it.
some organizations and some people have just as much problems when things are very successful as when things are not successful. How is Activision during Guitar Hero's 6-year run?
I mean, again, I left during that, right?
Was there any point where people were like satisfied and were like, hell yeah?
Well, yeah, I mean, the consumers were, but you also have to remember, I mean, there's a lot of tough stuff, right? Because we kind of hit the peak right as the recession was about to start, right? And so the fact that we wanted to put out so many SKUs in the same year at full price, I said maybe we shouldn't be doing this, but I'm a publicist, so they
Right.
don't care what I say, right? But on top of that, again, I left because of some toxic male behavior. Our industry has had problems, but it's most industries have had problems, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like being, is it weird to say that I'm a feminist now? It's like, I don't know. Are we allowed
Why would
to
that
use
be
that
weird?
word? I don't know. It's like
Shouldn't we all be feminists?
we should all be equal. How about that?
Humanists.
Yeah. And so that's where I have a problem. I don't trust this country. This country who elected someone who, again, we'll go back to the beginning of this podcast, talked about grabbing women by our privates
And getting away with it.
and getting away with it and like bragging about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, and this is where I say, like, I had nightmares about him being reelected and me and my family ending up in an internment camp. To be honest, like, these were the nightmares that I was having.
Yeah.
Because that was where our country was trending towards, was like Asian hate, no big deal. Nobody cares. Whatever, beat up and kill old Asian folks for just walking down the street. Because
In their own neighborhoods.
Because idiot called it the Asian flu.
Right.
The China virus, whatever the hell he was calling it. It was like all the racism, all the sexism, all the stuff. It was like I was losing faith in our country. Absolutely.
I don't blame you, and maybe I'm just an over-optimist, but I look at it like the people who support that kind of stuff, they know that it's almost over for them. They see television, and they see
They're
all
still
the faces.
getting elected.
Yeah, this is the last bloom.
I mean, from your lips to whomever's ears, I don't know.
A lot of times flowers bloom right before they die because they know this is it. And I think that's what happened. They know that the tables are turning, and I think Obama scared them.
Obama scared the living
Because
bejesus out
Obama
of
was
them.
so damn good. And they're like, well, let's just put all our money on a guy that kind of sounds like us, but he's also rich. Let's see what he can do. Well, sorry, Jethro. He can't do much.
Well, but the cult of him is still it's alive and well. To be honest, I mean,
It's alive.
They've donated so much money to him.
They did.
Because they believe in his nonsense.
They do.
And he's the ultimate grifter.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to talk about politics. 'Cause
Fine.
This makes me really, really,
Good.
really sad
Good.
and upset.
Don't be sad.
Okay.
It's changing.
Okay.
Katie Porter from your Orange County
She's awesome.
is awesome.
So smart. I mean,
AOC is awesome.
but electing smart people is it's like foreign. I'm sorry. Like the people, oh my God, I don't know. Politics is crazy. And like, listen, politicians, it's hard to stay clean and be a politician, I think.
It is.
So.
Okay, we have two more topics.
Okay.
One you may not even want to talk about,
Okay.
but you've been so open in this interview.
I
That-
get myself into trouble because
No,
I'm too
no,
honest
no, no,
and
no.
open.
No.
I do. No, in life I do.
What kind of trouble?
I guess not really bad
Right.
trouble.
People should just relax.
Well, no, listen. I could write a book and actually get people in trouble.
but you
There's
wouldn't.
I have a lot of. Well, I might.
Really?
I might. Because I think there's some people who don't necessarily deserve all the success that they have because they're not good people.
What astrological sign are you?
I'm a cusp.
I am too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's best to be the cusp.
I think so too.
You get a little of both.
I'm very versatile.
Yeah. Okay. Asian fetish.
Oh, yeah.
I have been watching a lot of TikToks lately.
I don't.
Well, I mean, I still kind of feel like I was good in social media.
Yeah.
And the only way to like stay good at stuff is
Absolutely.
to just
Yeah.
keep learning.
Absolutely.
So I've been watching a lot of TikToks.
Okay.
And some of the Asian young ladies are talking about Asian fetish.
Oh, no.
And I'm confused by this.
Okay.
Because if you like something, are you fetishizing it? So when I was in college, Budweiser had this, and you get to meet the Swedish bikini team. Did we have a Swedish fetish?
No.
No.
But it is. So I definitely have an opinion about this because it was obviously because now like K-pop's huge. All this, it's like it's a bit more like a part of quote unquote normal culture now
Yeah.
to be Asian. But I can tell you like, you know, I had someone at USC who wanted to sleep with me because he had never slept with an Asian gal before, right?
Yeah.
And definitely it was like a novelty thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that's always been a trigger for me is like, so do you actually like me as a person and as a human, or it's because you have a weird Asian thing that you need to tick off your to-do list or your fetish box or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And so, but I also don't give people hell for it necessarily if it's a preference, right? Because I got called out for it. They're like, well, what do you date? And I was like, oh, I guess I mostly only date white guys, right? and so I was like, yeah, I guess it's a preference, not a fetish. But when you fetishize and you think like, because growing up or having, you know, my younger years, there were definitely men who were like really, and it just comes out in weird ways where they're like, well, why aren't you more subservient? Or like, why aren't you more accommodating to me? Or like, why? And I'm just like, why? Because I'm an Asian woman? I was like, I'm sorry, if you actually go into an Asian, like a Chinese family home, you guess who's running the home? It's the mom. It's the grandma,
Yep.
right? In a lot of cultures, right?
For sure.
And maybe not outwardly, but when you come home, oh, you do not mess with mom.
Right.
So it's just weird to think that it was such a stigma or something, a fetish, that Asian women were subservient.
So it sounds to me that the fetish is less about the ethnic background and more about a power struggle. That these men just want a yes man, basically.
Yeah.
But who's a woman?
Sure. And right. And we're not bad looking, and we're usually on the petite side, right?
Mhm.
And so I think all of that adds up,
Right.
right, into something that they consider an Asian fetish. I don't know what's happening on TikTok, so I don't know what you're referring to, and I don't know what the young women are experiencing these days.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's also social media, so they could be getting messages that are disgusting that they would never have had in real life.
Sure.
But because it's social media, they're going to get them.
But we've had them in real life when we were growing up,
I bet.
for sure.
I bet.
Because it was different, though. That's the whole thing. It's like, especially growing up here, in Hancock Park in L.A., it wasn't like overrun with Asians or anything, right?
So your preference for white men are because they will be subservient to you?
I don't know. Honestly, it's just who you find attractive, right?
I also think, though, when you are...
I love gingers. Let's just put this out there.
Oh, it goes even that far.
Yeah, people give me all kinds of hell, including my best friend, who, by the way, sometimes has red hair. Okay, and big, gorgeous blue eyes. Yeah.
Do you prefer them tall, your size?
I like them. I like men to be taller than me. Yes.
So big, tall, redheaded man is what
Not
you're looking
big
for.
and tall. I just like them taller than me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because you like to wear heels. These are
I do.
incredible heels you have on them. And take a picture of these before you leave.
you.
Because I have a foot fetish.
Well, listen. I've had a painting and like photo sessions of my feet. Yes.
You have?
Oh yeah.
Does that freak you out?
No,
If somebody
I
did
don't
have an
mind-
Asian fetish, would that freak you out?
it doesn't freak me out.
If it wasn't about the subservient thing, if it was just about the aesthetics.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Great.
I don't have a problem.
I don't know why people really would if it's just about looks.
If it's
Because
just-
if somebody is like, I kind of like sort of chubby bald dudes.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hello.
everybody has a preference.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone has their preferences, and that's what it comes down to. If it's just an aesthetics thing.
Right.
But for me, obviously, it's a personality thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and
Well, you're going to have to talk to the guy at some point.
exactly. So, my Navy SEAL is just one of the sweetest, kindest, gentlest,
Is he a ginger?
he's not a ginger.
Would you dye his hair?
No.
If you could?
God, no.
All right.
No. But it's like,
Life
it's-
is short.
it's your ultimate aesthetic preference, right? It's like, it was ridiculous. I went to Ireland for St. Patty's Day, and I was like, oh my God, they're so amazing.
Was it really great to be there?
Oh yeah. I mean, my mom, honestly, when I was super into blondes, my mom was like, you must have been a Viking in a former life. And I was like, okay, sure, maybe.
Okay, let's finish up with Hancock Park.
Okay.
Is there anywhere good to eat in Hancock Park specifically? Or do you have to go out a little bit?
No, on Larchmont?
Larchmont is Hancock Park?
Yeah.
I call that Larchmont Village.
That's a street.
It's a neighborhood.
No, that's Hancock Park. Or Windsor Square, whatever you want to call it. That's what we consider Hancock Park. Because I grew up, so
Where do you eat on Larchmont?
my favorite go-to place is Le Petit Greek.
Le Petit Greek.
Uh-huh.
It's a Greek place.
Yeah.
Hoopah!
And they've been there since I was little.
What do you get there?
I have the lemon potatoes, but I get the Greek salad. Sometimes I'll get a gyro. I don't get too crazy. Sometimes I'll do that. I think there's a shrimp salad.
There's 3 really good pizza places on Larchmont too.
Yeah, I think Z Pizza is good, and I don't listen. I don't go out there as often
Yeah.
as I'd like to, just because traffic and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But, we used to go to Chandara. It was too spicy for me.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, I'm a wuss.
I am too.
Lucy's El Adobe, amazing.
Yeah. On Melrose, right?
Yeah, it's on Melrose.
Yeah.
So
That's Hancock Park.
yeah. So hold on. So my friend has a restaurant called Callie, and then I love Oats.
Callie is C-A-L-L-E.
K-A-L-I.
Callie, like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then Osteria Mama, and that Panda Express and that pavilion. Love that place. I mean, I used to go there all the time. I haven't been there probably in a decade, but you know.
Why aren't there Panda Expresses in all of them? Because
And
you're
then
right.
Providence. Oh my God, Providence. My friend's restaurant, Providence.
Well, that's kind of fancy for me.
It's so amazing, though.
It's worth it.
It is worth it. Like if you, absolutely. I mean, go there at least once to treat yourself. It's just, so good, just so good.
What do you get at Providence?
Well, we do the tasting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not that fancy.
Tasting. And then also Republique is further out from Hancock Park, but Walter is one of my favorite chefs as well. and then
Republique is on La Brea,
it's on La Brea. at
just
6th.
north of Wilshire.
Yes, closer to 6th.
Right.
And then Angelini Osteria. I mean, I name all these chefs. So, and this is something that you also don't know is I name all these chefs because I've known these guys for a couple of decades, 2 decades and a half, because my aunt and uncle started a big charity event called Pier del Sol for the Special Olympics, where we literally would have all of these amazing chefs, for Sunday brunch on the pier in Santa Monica. Yeah, and so I've been really spoiled, and so I love food.
Does
I
this
love to
event
eat.
still happen?
So obviously not during the pandemic.
Right.
And
but it's coming back?
Well, we couldn't get it together for this year because it's normally the
okay.
first or second Sunday in
But
October.
the
so-
idea of being able to have some of the best chefs in LA
Yes.
in one spot,
Absolutely.
Santa Monica Pier, which
Yeah.
is a place that
Yeah.
locals don't go to
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think we're going to try to make it more central. So we'll see. We're working on it.
I don't mind the pier if there's something worth it.
I know, but people get very segmented. So you're doing your shows about LA neighborhoods.
And about getting out of your bubble.
Well, but a lot of people don't like to. And especially with traffic the way it is
Yeah.
still. It's like
True.
it's just gnarlier and gnarlier and people just don't do it.
Let's talk about your cancer.
Yes.
Let's end on the lovely topic
I'm alive.
of the big C. Definitely.
Yeah.
What kind of cancer do you have?
I have thyroid cancer. So this is where it gets a little bit annoying, but it's fine and great because when I was diagnosed, every doctor was like, "Hey, if you're going to get any cancer, this is the best one to get."
Oh.
But still, you're just like, "Hi, I have cancer," and it's unpredictable, right? And everyone's different.
Do you go to this cancer Kaiser spot?
No.
Where do you go?
So I did my surgery at Cedars, but I'm a unusual case also because unfortunately I did have a biopsy in 2005, and it was deemed probably not cancer, and then nobody followed up. Like, hey, you should probably get another biopsy, and so it was probably growing in me, and they can't say for sure, but probably for the 17 years. And so
Wow.
it did, even though it's a slow-growing cancer, this one had spread. So they took out my entire thyroid, which is why also my voice is hoarse now. So I get hoarse very easily because it's all around your vocal cords.
So you won't be able to sing very much at the Duran show?
Unfortunately, it's really my singing voice is a little bit whacked out. So I'm going to start doing more probably vocal and speech therapy so that I can sort of keep my voice. But they took out all the lymph nodes underneath it because to test, but those also turned out to be 100% cancerous also. So
Wow.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Has this made you more or less religious?
I'm not religious.
So it hasn't changed a thing?
No. No, I mean, we were raised, so I mean, this is the whole thing. It's like we were raised with Buddhist traditions.
Oh.
Right? We would do, like we honor our ancestors,
Yep.
stuff like that. And honestly, you're just supposed to be good to any other living being, including plants.
Yep.
Right? And insects or anything. And, reincarnation, maybe not. I don't know. But
Reincarnated as a person?
as anything depends. Are you a shitty person? You're going to go back to the beginning.
Wow.
I think. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
How great was Ryh-Ming? You know who we'd give all of our Guitar Hero guitars to? Our Patreons. When you stoke us, you're saying, Tony, Jordan, here's some cash. Buy a new video game system. Take a break, Driver 8. So shout out to our Patreons, Nancy Rommelman, Sean Atlow, Matt Mills, Sean Wallace, Greg and Molly, Jamie Taylor, Mark Johnson, Kira Ann, Barney Granke, Ben Welsh, Jen Adams, Trevor Wilson, Bree Wild, Dougie Gyro, Christina Up North, Robin Carey, and Adam Shorn. Want to support this fine podcast that features beautiful souls like Ryh-Ming? Go to patreon.com/hereinla and give till it hurts. Also, shout out to our Angelinos. To be an Angelino, all you got to do is PayPal us $25 or more, and we will list you on the Here in LA website or Medium blog forever. Just PayPal your hard-earned cash to busblog@gmail.com. Want to support us, but you vacation in Chicago for a week and now you're tapped out? You can still hope. You can still hope. You can also still help. Post your favorite episode on your Facebook. Oh my God, post 2. Tweet something nice about us. Anytime you see me tweet about an episode, retweet it. And for God's sake, tell your friends. Tell them how Here in LA is spelled, and then it's on Amazon and Apple and Google Podcasts, even on Spotify. Here in LA is produced by myself, Tony Pierce, and a man who only fetishes brass instruments, Jordan Katz. Editing, mixing, and music supervision by Jordan Katz. Songs by Orgone and Jordan Katz. Special thanks to Cindy for creating the logo, Jen for inspiring this, and PR people everywhere who tell us the cool things before we know it's cool. Long live Coolio!